Hi guys, David and David here from Payette4.com and Upphone.com, and in this video we're going to tell you about 10 ways to optimize your iPhone.
So the first one we're going to talk about is to optimize your iPhone storage as it relates to the music that's stored on your iPhone. Great. So let's head to Settings.
Settings.
Then down to Music.
Down to Music, it is down here.
And then tap Optimize Storage.
Optimize storage?
Yep, and what this does is it removes songs from your iPhone that you haven't listened to in a while to clear up storage space. So your iPhone's actually going to run a little bit faster if you're running really low on storage. Just turning this on is a good way to keep your iPhone running smoothly. And then you can choose the minimum amount of storage that you want to have on your iPhone. So if none is selected, it means that it could go ahead and delete every single song.
Don't want that.
Nope, but if 4 gigabytes is selected, then you're going to still have about 800 songs.
Let's go with that for now.
Sounds good to me. So our next tip is pretty similar, but it has to do with the photos on your iPhone. So let's tap back to Music and back to Settings, and then right under Music is Photos. And make sure that you have Optimize iPhone Storage turned on here as well. The Download and Keep Originals setting is cool if you're going to be printing out photos or you really need the entire full resolution photo, but those files are really big. So if you're just sending photos to your friends with email or through iMessage, optimize iPhone storage. Those photos are more than sharp enough to look great.
Yep.
And if you don't see this setting, it's probably because you don't have iCloud Photos turned on.
Yep, so our next tip is to turn on optimized battery charging. So go back to Settings, scroll up to Battery, tap on battery health, and then turn on the switch next to optimized battery charging. This helps reduce battery aging. So our next tip is to turn off iPhone analytics, iCloud analytics, Apple Watch analytics, all the analytics, just turn them off.
Let's tap back to battery and then back to Settings and head up to Privacy and then go down to Analytics, tap on that and turn off all the analytics.
Yep.
So share
Don't
iPhone and Watch. Yep.
Just tap OK. And that just gets rid of a lot of them right there. And then turn off the switch next to Share iCloud Analytics. This will save you some battery life. You don't need to be sending this data to Apple.
Yep.
They can improve their own products.
Yep, and cellular data will save you as well. Our next tip is to turn off unnecessary location services. And we don't recommend you turn off location services entirely. It's the GPS. It's what lets your iPhone know where it is in the world. And if you turn it all the way off, your Google Maps or Apple Maps wouldn't work. Your Apple Maps doesn't work anyway. So let's tap back to Privacy in the upper left and scroll up to Location Services, right? So don't turn off that switch at the top, but go ahead and take a look through this list. If you see any arrows that are purple, it means that it is using your location right now, and gray arrows means that that app has used your location within the last 24 hours.
All right, yeah, well, one app I don't need to have my location, the Apple Watch Faces app. I don't think I've actually ever used that app, so I'll just tap Never.
Okay.
There we go.
Yep, and tap back. And as you look through this list, if there's anything that says always, turn those off, unless that app always needs to have access to your location. So just tap on the SafeQ one, because we changed that last time.
Yep.
Why would David's bank need to have access to his location all the time?
No reason.
And if your bank app is using your GPS all the time, it's going to kill your battery. It's possible that just one app could be the reason why your iPhone battery is draining so fast.
Yep, so I'll just tap Never here. There we go, problem solved.
Yep.
Let's go back.
Yep, and let's head all the way to the bottom to System Services, which is our next tip. We're going to turn off the unnecessary ones, and you can use David's iPhone here as a template. We recommend turning off everything in this list except emergency calls and SOS, Find My iPhone, and Share My Location, if you use that. Things like setting time zone, you could just toggle on and toggle off if you ever go somewhere else in a different time zone. That's what we do. But it doesn't need to be checking all the time.
No way.
Yep.
And real quick over here, just tap on significant locations. Turn this off. As you can see, I actually have a history now because I've left this on for a while.
Yep.
Little weird. Turn this off, save a little bit of battery. Turn off.
Yeah.
There we go.
A little bit creepy, and if you want to clear that history out of there, you can just go to the bottom.
Clear history.
There it goes. All right.
Nice try, Apple.
Nice try. Let's tap back in the upper left-hand corner, and then at the very bottom of this list, there are more analytics. So make sure that all these product improvement analytics are off. These are the ones that have to do with your location. Turn them off.
Yep, so our next tip is to switch mail from push to fetch.
With push mail, your iPhone is constantly checking your email server to see if there's new mail. It's always checking, is there mail, is there mail, is there mail, is there mail? But with fetch, you decide how often you want your iPhone to check for new mail. So let's tap back in the upper left-hand corner and then back again to Privacy and then back to the main settings menu.
Here we go.
And scroll down to Passwords and Accounts. And then under Fetch New Data down here, tap where it says Push. That's going to open up the Fetch New Data menu. So first thing is to just turn off push at the top. You can also go into individual accounts and decide whether you want them to be push or fetch. Accounts like Microsoft Exchange and Microsoft Outlook were always the biggest offenders. They would just destroy battery life. But iCloud, for instance, which is an Apple service, is designed by Apple, so it doesn't really use that much battery life, so it's okay to leave that on fetch, or on push, I'm sorry. Let's tap back to fetch new data. And then last thing to adjust here is at the bottom of the screen, you can change it to how often you want your iPhone to check. And what do you want?
Yeah, 15 minutes is what we usually recommend. And anytime, you can always just open up the mail app and say, is there new mail here?
Yeah.
And you don't have to wait 15 minutes every single time.
Right. If you want to know, it's going to tell you.
Yep.
Next up, we're going to turn off unnecessary background app refresh. Background app refresh, or BAR, B-A-R, allows certain apps on your iPhone to download new content in the background when you're not using them. So there are some apps that you want to allow to do that, but other ones, they can just burn through your iPhone, cellular data, and CPU.
Yep. Back to accounts, back to settings, scroll up and tap general, tap background app refresh. And first thing you want to do here is tap at this at the top of the screen and make sure you select just Wi-Fi. You don't want to use cellular data updating apps in the background of your iPhone. Make sure that's on Wi-Fi and then go back here and then just look through this list, which apps need to be refreshing content in the background of your iPhone. Likely answer is not many of them. So, start turning off switches.
Right. And this is going to save cellular data by turning off that switch at the very top.
Yep.
And it's just going to also, save data overall and the amount of work your iPhone has to do in the background, which is going to save battery life.
So our next tip is to close out of the apps you're not using on your iPhone.
And this is a little bit controversial because a lot of people say not to do this, because the truth is you should never have to do this. But certain apps on your iPhone can crash and they can rev the CPU up to 100%, get stuck there. That's why iPhones get hot, is that a lot of the time an app is crashed in the background of the iPhone, and closing out your apps is a good way to prevent problems from happening.
Yep, so to do this, open the app switcher. If your iPhone has a home button, double press that home button. If you have an iPhone 10 or newer, swipe up from the very bottom of the screen to the center of the screen, opens the app switcher. I'm not using any of these apps right now. Swipe them up and off the top of the screen. Now they're closed.
And our next tip is to clear out some iPhone storage space. Now, iPhones are like computers. It's not a good idea to let your computer run out of storage space because it doesn't have enough room to do the reads and writes to the hard drive that it has to do to keep things moving. Same thing with an iPhone. So let's head back in the upper left-hand corner and then head down to iPhone storage, which is right there.
A lot of the time, you'll see these great recommendations that are super easy to set up. Auto delete old conversations, save 140 megabytes. Just tap enable. Auto delete old conversations, and any message you received over a year ago, it'll be erased, but you probably don't need those messages.
Yeah, and review large attachments. Sometimes family members can send you a video of some recital that's 4 minutes long and 300 megabytes, and a few of those, and your iPhone's really going to take up a lot of space. This makes it easy to find out which of the attachments from your mail are taking up the most.
Yeah, there are great ways to clear up some storage space, delete some old photos, delete old videos. One thing you'll probably see on your iPhone too is that there's this other that kind of nebulous. We have a video of how to clear out other on iPhone storage. We'll link to that in the card above and in the description section below.
What is other? We'll answer that question in that video.
Yep, so those are 10 tips to optimize your iPhone. Thank you for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed. Leave us a comment down below with any other questions, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more great iPhone videos.